Yes, it's Friday, the 23rd of October 2020, and tonight's preview show, we'll be looking ahead to Blackpool's match at home to MK Dons. We'll also be asking you who will be in your starting 11 for the game, as well as diving into some stats from previous matches. That and a lot more on the Seasiders podcast.
Ollie's already changed the world. A small town from the north of England with a great tradition. Change the world.
Yes, come on, you Tangerine Wizards. Welcome to the Friday night preview show live on the Seasiders podcast. Hello, if you're watching on Twitter, YouTube, or Facebook. It's great to have you on the show, and we have a jam-packed stat show this evening. And joining me for this special occasion is Tom. Tom, welcome to the stream once again. It's great to have you on, but being a Black fan, it's been a little bit frustrating recently.
Yeah, not going to plan, is it? So another frustrating game on Tuesday, topped off with another red card. Hopefully our fortunes can change soon, because we can see what we're trying to do. It's just the fact we've got to implement it in the final third, I think. But I think we're all getting a bit tetchy now because it's not going as easy as we thought it was going to be. So,
is that kind of the realism that Blackpool fans were all happy and thinking we're going to go and win this league with the performances over Everton and Liverpool, but we're just back to reality, aren't we, a little bit?
Yeah, I think we were. I said in the group the other day, I think we were clouded a bit by pre-season. We had like you said, against Everton, we were really up for it, really high pressing. We scored 3 really quick goals, and I think we thought, that's it. We're gonna walk all over League One teams, but it wasn't meant to be. I think we're getting outscored quite a lot. I think we were a bit naive in terms of what pre-season actually meant and how teams are actually playing against us. But the frailties were there to see against Liverpool, and yeah, it was Everton. We lost a 3-goal lead against them as well, with some mistakes as well. So I think once they're rectified, I think once Ballard comes in and plays the full game like he did a bit on Tuesday, and we've got a full team in front of him, I think we will sort of settle down a bit and start winning games.
Certainly, we definitely need to start winning games as fans. As we've seen on social media, have got a little bit tetchy, shall we say, with their Neil Critchley out tweets and other people on the other side of the fence thinking you've got to give him time. And that's the side of the fence I sit on. And Tom, for you, which we'll come into a bit more detail later on, but you've got to give time in these moments of things when you've got 17 players come in, 20 players out. It's not an easy job for a manager, is it? Especially a new one.
I think it's the manner we're losing, and the signings at the time, I think we're all excited by, but I think a lot of fans now think the signings aren't good enough for League One potentially. But I'm so 50-50. I think some mornings I wake up and think he's definitely not the man for the job, and I think some mornings I think should we give him a lot more time? And I think the answer to that is yes, because we have got a lot of new signings they haven't played. It's just how long do you give someone before it gets too late, so to speak.
Yes, we'll have to see. And Ray just pointed out that there is a slight echo. I'm not sure which end it is, which we'll try and sort out as soon as possible. So I'll just mute Tom to see if that helps the situation. But Tom, I'll bring you back in very shortly. I look back at the defeat against Charlton. I know John and the boys did a great job on Tuesday, looking back at the game with the famous quote, we're just stuck with him. That made a few people laugh on social media. I'm surprised John hasn't made a scarf with that phrase written on at the moment. But when you actually look at the game against Charlton, going down to 10 men after 2 or 3 minutes, was it? That just unsettles the players and the whole game plan that you've worked maybe the week before, a few days, and especially Monday on your tactics. And for it to go out the window in 2 minutes, it must be so frustrating for Neil Critchley and the players out there.
Yeah, for me, this was the game to sort of settle us back down again and potentially sort of get the 3 points, because I don't think Charlton looked fantastic either. And for Husband to go through and foul or not, he hardly touches him, but he goes down quick enough, and it was silly to put his arm out. And it's like you say, it's ruined the game plan, I think we reacted relatively well to it, to be honest with you. We didn't create enough, but we certainly reacted well in terms of defensively, and how we kept the ball. They were very threatening, but I think we did a job considering.
But Charlton are going to be one of these sides, Tom, that are going to be up there at the end of the season. They know how to get out of League One. They've got a new owner in charge, which I think I put something on social media saying it could have been a bit of a celebration between the fans, because they've supported us through the tough times. We've supported them, especially through their tough times. And it's great to see two clubs back with owners that are going to back them. And again, it could have been a celebration on Tuesday, despite the result. But again, they're going to be a tough side to beat. And you look at Blackpool's fixtures in the opening, 5 games, they've not been the easiest, really, with teams who are going to be up there at the end of the season.
No, they've signed really well as well. I think they've signed experience and adds to their current quality. So credit to them. I think that if they don't finish top 2, they'll certainly be in the playoffs. But I don't think they, ruined us. I just don't think we had the quality in the final third to affect them, and their defence showed they were much better than us on the night.
Yeah, definitely agree with you there. And some comments Sean's got in. We don't need to completely revamp the philosophy. It's just simple changes. And number 10 off Medine and balls out wide for out-to-out wingers. Once we're fully fit, Mitchell is ideal on that left flank. Tom, your thoughts to Sean's comments there?
Completely agree. I think he's not a left back. He was so out of position so many times Tuesday that really hurt us, and again, and for their goal. But Swindon comes to mind. He had an outrageous first half against Swindon, bombing down the wing. So I think if we played that ball through to him, it gives us another option first and foremost, and he's not scared to attack them. And he had that cover behind him. He's a much bigger threat than he is going forward than he is in defence. So
yeah, I definitely agree with there. And what stands out for me is when we talked about the going down to 10 men, there was some kind of resilience showed and team spirit. And Neil Critchley spoke about that in his pre-match press conference this week, which we'll get to later on. Do you think the togetherness was showed on the pitch on Tuesday, that despite going down again from previous games and the game on Tuesday, that they're in this all together?
I think Tuesday was the first time we saw it. It was very individual. We're set on because we're not a team yet, in my opinion. It was set on a lot of individual performances and mistakes that gave us the result at the end of the day. So Lincoln, there was 3 individual mistakes. I don't think we've lost together really as a team, if that makes sense. But Tuesday, as soon as he got sent off, there was no heads dropping. And I think the addition of MJ Williams, which people might disagree, he's been a bit useless since he's come on. But the last 2 games he's started, he's added exactly what we need in that midfield. And I thought he was the forefront of that attitude and the endeavour to keep going on Tuesday night. I think he generally was superb. So
yeah, we'll see if he's going to be in your starting 11 later on, which we're going to do. And people listening, if you want to get in your starting 11 in the chat, we'll make sure we read as many out as possible. And a slight quiz question for everyone to answer in the comments, and we'll come to it a little bit later on when we do We've Met You Before section. Blackpool and MK Dons met for the first time in December 2004. MK Dons won 4-1 on the night. It was a Tuesday night, I believe. But who was Blackpool's goal scorer that night? Leave your answers in the comments sections and we'll read out majority of them and get the answer out later on as well. So who scored Blackpool's only goal in their 3-1 defeat away at MK Dons in 2004? Make sure you try and get that one out. But Tom, moving back onto the Charlton game, I just want to quickly go on about the passing. We spoke about it quite a lot in terms of the good things and the bad things, but you're someone who follows this person on Twitter. Great graphics of showing. If you can't see it, I do apologise. It's the only way we could fit it on the screen. But you just look at our passing map, and Husbands is the one that stands out the most, isn't it?
Yeah, I think when I sent it to you, that's certainly one that stands out. It's completely blank. I think it has to be one of the fastest sending off in Blackpool's history, if not the fastest. So there's not a lot to go by on that graph. Yeah, I think you can see by that that we didn't have as much of the ball as we wanted, and we didn't have much of the ball to have an influence on the game. And Yates again specifically, it's so little touches, it's unbelievable when he came on, so it didn't really affect the game much. And it's just down to Robson again, and we rely on him heavily. And as soon as he disappears in the match, I think you can see that we don't have much creativity at all.
I'm just looking at this. Turton, a few runs down the wing. We'll share these graphics on the social media with everyone later. Robson's kind of the only one that stands out to me in terms of coming to get the ball off deep and looking for passes forward. You look at Medine, he's come short. Every pass is backwards or sideways. Again, Libala's come on, 2 touches back or 2 passes back, 1 forward. Hamilton, I'm looking at this thing. I don't think he played a pass forward, maybe 1 it looks like on a slight angle, and 3 out of the 4 were intercepted. When you're looking at trying to create chances, which Blackpool were top of the league or leaderboard in that sense before Crewe away last weekend, when you look at it, we've just got to be better in the final third, don't we?
We were good enough on the night in the first 2 halves of the pitch, first 2 thirds of the pitch. We didn't have a shot in anger, did we? So you've summed it up perfectly. We haven't got our identity going forward. I think the only game you really saw it, I think, was Plymouth. I think that game we were brilliant. We had some clear-cut chances to shoot. We tore them apart, and we had a lot of the ball, and we did a lot with it, apart from score. And then with Crewe, it was with Lincoln. It was not Lincoln, sorry. Swindon at home. We relied again on CJ Hamilton scoring 2 pretty decent goals, and towards the end we were cutting them open, and we had that sort of endeavour and creativity. And I think Tim said after that match we didn't go into 4th or 5th gear, and we're still creating chances. So that I'm not sure where that's gone. We seem to have lost our identity going forward, and we rely too heavily on CJ. As soon as he's marked out the game, we haven't got anything.
I guess when you look at it, Woodburn's, again, he had a kind of half chance, shall we say. I think he got played over the top and hit his shot over the target. But you look at his passing map, I think there's only 1 switch forward, a pass down the wing to, I'm guessing, the fullback, and a ball into the box by someone. I don't want to keep talking about the negatives, but if Blackpool are going to start converting chances, the many that we talk about, we've just got to be a bit more conviction, should we say, in the penalty area in the final third, because at the moment we're not going to score goals. And I've said to you many times that I think we're a few games away from one team being absolutely battered by us. I could just see it clicking one game, but at the moment there's plenty of work to do for Neil Critchley and his coaching staff on the training ground.
Yeah, Woodburn for me is a brilliant signing. His first game, and I think he, in some ways, I know he's been on loan at Oxford, but they played much better football than us last season, so he might be used to that. But he didn't really settle down very well. I think he was looking for fouls quite a lot, and he was quite ineffective. Like you said, he had 1 opportunity which I think he should have scored, but first came back for a while, and on a different day we might have gone 1-0 up. But I'm not going to criticise him too much, apart from the fact that I want to see a bit more of him. Clearly, he's definitely an incredible outlet to have in our team. He just needs to settle down in the team. As his first game back, and it showed. He was tired come the end, and he come off because of cramp, nothing else. So it's a great signing, and I think there's a lot more to come. So
obviously we'll come to our kind of starting 11s for tomorrow's game against MK Dons, but where do you see Woodburn fitting into this side? Is it on that left-hand side? I know we've got plenty of options in Mitchell, Garbett potentially, Libala, Yates has been out there before, CJ. Where do you see Woodburn starting for Blackpool in the future?
I wouldn't mind to see him just behind Yates, if I'm being honest. I don't think Yates is a winger, and I don't think Woodburn, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know, but I don't see him as a winger either. I think if he's in that middle, picking up pockets of space, getting in behind, playing through balls and having shots, I don't think coming off the wing is right for him, and we've got too much wingers for him to then just start and someone else drops and or plays out of position again. So for me, unless someone corrects me, I don't think he is an out-and-out winger for sure, and he's going to be best in that number 10 role. It might mean Keshi and him rotate, or it might mean they both play, maybe. I don't know if we change the formation about. But for me, he's got to sit behind the striker and create chances.
We shall see. Looking at some of the comments coming through, AMAC, he said, love the team open play passes. I'll get that on the screen. It's in the bottom right corner, I believe. And it shows, well, that there was a football match that evening despite the result. And again, we're trying to play a certain way. And for me, as I've said for many weeks now, we've got to believe in the process. There's no point changing the manager due to the amount of incomes and outgoings. You've got to give him time. And as I've spoken to Joey Barton down at Fleetwood many times, he's always told me you need about 3 or 4 transfer windows before you can get your identity on the team, whether you're bringing in 3 or 4 players each window. And it's completely different when a manager's bought in 17. It's not the easiest. And I guess players, like I said, we've not had a proper pre-season. They've not been away. Do you think, again, going a bit off topic, that's played a little bit of part in this team not gelling as much so far?
It's a mad amount of signings. I think it's too much in some respects. Do we need all those players we've signed? Probably not. But if he's building for what he wants in the next 2 years, then fair play to him. I'm happy to give him that opportunity. Do I think we should get rid of everybody and sort of the spine of that team? No. And I think that shows that we are that completely new that we don't know how to play together yet. And the fact that we haven't had all our team play together and everybody's not been fit and everybody's not settled down and Yates hasn't found his goal and we've had a couple of scrappy goals and Hamilton's had a couple of good games, but other than that, has he really been that great? Have we been clouded by the fact he scored a double and got us the win against Swindon? Probably, because he was pretty useless against Charlton. They sort of bullied him out of the game and hardly touched the ball. So he hasn't found the starting 11 that he wants. My response to Critchley needing 4 transfer windows is he isn't going to get it if he continues this way. That's a fact, I think. So Joey Button can say 4 or other managers can give 4, but Sadler won't wait that long. I'm happy to give him time. I just don't know how much time he will be given, if that makes sense. This can't carry on. But I think it's right to give him a bit more time. I don't think you should just sack him immediately.
Yeah, it's been. I get what he's saying there. If you're getting the results as well, and you had given that transfer window time to bring your players, it's a different kettle of fish than winning kind of one game at home against Swindon. They weren't the best opponents. No disrespect, but again, you've got to get the results to earn your right to have those transfer windows. But it's the kind of the fact that to actually build your identity, some managers might only buy 5, 6 players in one window and slowly build. And Blackpool have kind of done it all in one transfer window, which is quite strange in these very strange times. What I'm going to move on to now is MK Dons. They sit one place above Blackpool after their 3-2 defeat on Tuesday to Oxford United. Matty Taylor got Oxford off to a great start before Cameron Jerome, the former Birmingham striker, equalised for the Dons. Then goals from Sam Long and Olamide Shipudu ultimately sealed the win despite Ben Gladwin's late consolation goal for the visitors. Tom, MK Dons kind of are known as a side who like to keep possession, like to get forward, like to play on the front foot. Is this a game for Blackpool to really grab it by the ball by the horn, shall we say, and go and get a win and build confidence in the side?
In some ways it has to be. Like I said, we can't afford to have another game where we start off shaky and let them in. But we get the ball down early doors and we hit them hard, and I think we need to be decisive is the key, the first 15-20 minutes. Without that decisiveness and let them in and let them settle, personally, it sounds a bit of a big call already, but I don't see us winning if we let them play. If we start off on the front foot and we go at them, they've got mistakes in their team, but if they're settled, they'll feel a lot more comfortable. So it's, for me, again, it's about the start.
Very, very interesting. I'm just reading some of the comments. Tim Fielding says, personally, I think the biggest issue this season so far is that a need of one or more leaders, to knit this team together. Get that, and you'll see a tangible difference. Tom, your thoughts? I know it's been discussed on further pods, so I won't go into it in too much detail. But we just think we're lacking that one leader to, again, just grab the ball by the horns and bring this team together.
Yeah, it's blind faith in the midfield. I think when Robson disappears, we disappear quite immensely. And there's no one, like you said, grabbing their collars and saying, let's go team together. I think we all work hard, but not necessarily, we haven't got that dogged approach. And regardless what people think of Spearing, He was a sort of player in the middle of the park, clapping his hands, saying, "Come on to the team," and someone that can shout at his midfield. And he always works so hard. And I think we just get lost in the middle of the park sometimes. And the moment we lose that bite in the midfield, Yates drops back, or Medine tries a bit too hard, or throws his arms up, or asks for more fouls, and it just doesn't knit. And like Crew showed, and like Charlton showed, they need one chance and they'll score. We're not creating a chance. My issue with Critchley and Blackpool at the moment is we're not scoring, and it's as simple as that. If we score 2 or 3 and we lost 3-2, or that's fair enough. Like, we can see it working, but at the moment it's just that final third. So a leader is exactly what we should have signed, and maybe we did, but we haven't seen them play now. Ballard for me was head and tails above everyone we've seen this season in Tangerine, and hopefully he can, albeit be the captain if he wants to be, and lead from centre back, because when he came on he was quite commanding and made a massive difference. So, and Dougal, who knows, the midfielder we've signed as well, I don't think is fit, bear in mind, but he's again a dogged midfielder that we need in that middle as well. So we'll see what comes, but tides need to turn soon.
Tides need to turn soon, quote from Tom there. In the chat, do you think Ballard could be the captain that Blackpool need? Leave your comments in the section below. Just reading back about the captaincy. Gareth White says Turton as captain, maybe Robson. We'll have to wait and see. Tom nods his head in the background. AMAC says Medine, for me, is the only feisty character out to be captain. So, Tom, you're shaking your head there.
I shake my head at Turton. I think he's and you'll see in my team a bit later, he's someone that we definitely need in the team. Like a Swiss Army knife, isn't he, at the back, but just don't play him centre back. Robson, maybe. He's quiet though, isn't he? He's a good footballer, but he's quiet. For me, I haven't seen him sort of rally the troops yet. So Medine, fair play to him. People have been slagging him off loads, but again against Charlton, and he's worked hard, and he was finding space, and he was getting in the refs ear, and I like that. So Medine isn't a bad shout. Is he a leader of the men? I don't know. He sometimes is isolated. It's hard to pick a captain that team, isn't it? And I think that's the point. I think the fact we can't go, he should be captain, it is a bit worrying.
Yeah, John Scott's just got a comment, and I'll leave it on the screen. Possibly Matty Virtue when he's fit as captain.
Yeah, for me, I said, when do we play? Blackburn in the pre-season friendly, and I think I put on Twitter, Virtue's a player and a half for me in that middle of the park, and I got a lot of messages back saying, "Are you serious? He doesn't offer that much. Maybe like a headless chicken run about midfield." But for me, he's brilliant, and he's going to be a big player for us this season when he's fit. I wish he just hurry up and did get fit. But he for me, he would be that sort of person to drag the team up, and he would lead from the front as well. So I can't wait for him to get back.
Interesting. Just reading through the comments there. Ray Gregson says Virtue for me. Gareth says, oh yeah, when Virtue is fit, he is the captain for me. And Tim says, no chance Robson. As Tom said, he's too quiet and can't have Medine at centre forward. Again, that's debate between centre forwards and goalkeepers. I think if you are going to be that captain, the man who wears the armband, you need some bodies around you. Moving on, obviously NK Don still. We looked at Blackpool's passing, Matt, before. Tom, I'm going to put MK Don's on there just for kind of a comparison between Blackpool's. I'll put it on the screen now for everyone to see. When you look at that, again, it's nice and sideways, goes back a little bit, it goes forward the odd occasion. Like I said before, another team who are in possession, and you look down to the open play passes at the bottom, near 399 out of 500 passes kind of completed or made. But you look at it, it's not really anything in the danger zone, and it just looks very similar to Blackpool to me when you look at that stat. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, it's the middle of the park again when the game's going to be won, and both teams didn't have a very loud game in that respect. So I think the difference is they've got two really experienced defenders, and if you look at Lewington's pass map, he likes to ping the ball out from the back a bit like Everett used to, and they've got Houghton as well, I think, who's a very decent player. So again, they're not the quickest in the book, and like I said, if we're getting behind, we will make chances, but we just need to start like pit bulls and get into them really early and have that fight. So for me, it's a game we definitely should win. And I think tomorrow, if we do lose and we lose in a manner where we're not good enough, that's when noises are going to be made. If we get a good 2-3-0 win tomorrow and it starts to settle down and we go into the next game, we draw, etc., this for me already is the game that's really going to, like I said, turn the tide. Previously, they're not where they are because they're fantastic. They could be good come the end of the season. I don't think they will be up there. They've got a few key players, but ultimately there's no one in that team that we, in my opinion, can't beat.
One key stat for me there, and I guess people might agree in the chat, is when you look at Jerome's stats and Gladwin, who got the goals on Tuesday night for MK Dons in their 3-2 defeat away at Oxford. They've had a pass in the box to them, and they've managed to score from it. It's quite a simple, really, game of football. If you can get the ball into those dangerous areas and you've got a goal scorer or two, 9 out of 10 times going to hit the target or bag a goal, aren't they? And MK Dons showed that. And if Blackpool can somewhat replicate what MK Dons are doing in terms of the conversion rate, then we're going to win plenty of games this season.
Yeah. Like I said, even teams like Crewe, and I think Crewe will be either mid-table or up there anyway, but we dominated that game, didn't we? A bit like Plymouth. They caught us out of position. I think Marvs was on the halfway line having a cup of tea and they just broke past us and they passed the ball across goal and we watched it just like Charlton go above our heads, a bit like Ipswich go above our heads. Where's the ball gone? Oh, it's already in the back of the net. And with players like Cameron Jerome, yes, he is old, but he's certainly experienced enough to score. Yates and Medine, we're just not scoring enough. So, like I said, I hope it comes good soon. I'm not going to be negative too much, but for me, I don't know if you disagree, but although we've made the most chances, what does a chance consist of? Because do you think most games have had really clear-cut chances where we should have scored? Or do you think we've had the ball in the box quite a lot and we've just been dealt with?
It's a very good question, to be fair, and I'll give you my answer, but I'll also get those watching the show involved in that as well. One's already come in. David Jackson says, we just don't look close to scoring. A fair point, David. Jim BFC, you've just joined the chat. Welcome to the stream. And also the other 45 people who are watching it as well. But going back to your question there in terms of that, I think we've had chances in the games, and when we've actually looked, I say, half dangerous on the attack, we've bagged goals. You look at the Swindon game, for example. Ipswich, I thought we had a few chances, just didn't take them, and they were more clinical on the day, which resulted them getting the 3 points. But again, that stat comes down to what you determine as a half chance. For me, a chance is when you're through on goal, you've either squared it or you've had a shot at goal. For me, that's a chance. But again, we're kind of guessing, really, aren't what other people are thinking of chances. But the most frustrating thing is we've got these players in our team to go out there and score goals, create goals. I think I was a bit reserved about some of the forwards being brought in the summer. I think they only had 3 or 4 assists to the name all season. But yeah, as I said before, I do think we're one game away from people. We're one game away from grabbing a team and scoring 3 or 4. I really do, but it's just not clicking at the moment, is it?
No. For me, Kai has to play, or Kemp or Mitchell, because at the moment he's using different players. Square pegs and round holes has been said many a times in the group, isn't it? So what does Kemp have to do to get a start? If Woodburn can come in and get a start, and he signed him himself like on loan, he needs to start. It's very positive. If Kai's not fully fit tomorrow, you've got to go with, for me, Kemp or even Mitchell, and you'll see by my team selection a bit later what I think should happen. But we're going to pass the ball to CJ because the left wing isn't a viable option, is it? It's CJ because he scored 2 goals off the wing and he's quick, and so therefore teams 2 or 3 men on him and they stop him playing. So yeah, I don't know where the goals are coming from, and when we face an organised defence like Gillingham, etc., we really do struggle. So maybe an early goal will do us the world of good, and we will beat a team 2 or 3-0, and we will start making different things happen in the games. It could just be a case we are settling down at the moment, but my thought process is every morning when I say give them an opportunity is the really key question is how long do you give someone before it becomes outrageously too late, and we're saying the same thing on the pod every single week. So yeah,
I'll come back to you in a second, and going back slightly to the topic before, Andy. Threll Falls got in touch. Thanks for the comment. Just on the captaincy topic, we shouldn't be scrapping for one leader. We should have 3 or 4 out there. And I think that was discussed last weekend with the Crew game. Most teams do have 3 or 4 captains out there. You shouldn't just need the one captain. A fair comment, to be fair. And Gareth's got a good comment in what we were just talking about there, Tom. If teams are doubling up on CJ, why aren't we? And I guess in some respects, when you look at that in one respect should leave a bit more space, whether it's in midfield or in the opposition's back line, for us to really to penetrate them. Because, like I say, we've got the pace, we've got the skill. I still think we've got the players to go out there and do well this season. So why do you think we're not really using that space when teams are doubling up on CJ?
I don't know. I think we have enough of the ball to do something with it, and I think against Swindon we switched wings a couple of times and it really confused them, and we had ideas. The two things for me which I don't think the reason we're scoring enough is, and you saw it in fits and spurts, especially against Swindon when we scored, the front three tracked down the defence and hunted them like dogs, and they made mistakes time and time again, and Lincoln did the same. But we don't do that all the game, and we did against Everton, and we did against Liverpool, and we did against other teams. For me, that has to start happening for us to create chances and make them feel nervous. We can't let them have the ball. For me, when Robson isn't playing well, like I said 2 or 3 times now, we do fall apart a little bit in midfield. Keshi has really good fits and spurts in games, but then he goes missing a little bit. But we need to confuse teams by playing different balls on the wing. You know, get Kemp on the ball, get someone on the ball, then switch the wings, then change the wingers over maybe and start thinking of new ideas. Because currently we are just passing the ball to CJ and he's losing the ball. I have no idea. I can't answer that question, but we should be.
And just going back to some of the comments here. John Scott's got one on here saying, Brett, I'm guessing means Ormond, couldn't buy a goal when he first joined us. Nothing special till he came back from that broken leg at Wycombe. Medine's not the man, but Yates could be. I'd give Sarsic a go to prove at this level. Tim's got a comment on, and I think it was discussed on Tuesday. What do you think about Phil's comments, or points, should I say, that inverted wingers don't play to Medine's strength? Get Critchley to swap wings. Let's get that comment on the screen. What are your thoughts on that? Because as a target man, we've not played at the high level. We can't say yes or no. But if you're a target man, a big player up top, you don't want players dribbling in on the favoured left foot from the right and having a shot or playing things free. You want the balls in the box, a bit like Feeney to Nangelé was last year. A player on the right is going to whip the ball in, and someone to go and really head the ball. And I can't remember how many goals he scored with his head, but it was a fair few. So if you're Medine, you must be frustrated in some respects that you've not got that balls in the box. It's always to your feet. Then I've got to go back out wide and I've got to do these doggy runs every time. If you are Medine, you may be going to the coach, why can't we swap wings? Why can't we have a left footer on the left? Why is there not a right footer on the right? Because that's my strength. Do you think we're not playing to people's strengths at the moment in terms of Medine?
Yeah, 100%. Do you remember Plymouth? We spoke about Yates's ball map as well. He made runs across the box and almost to the corner flag about 6 or 7 times because he needed the ball. He needed the ball inside. I don't get why people don't want us to cross the ball in and score headed goals. I don't get it. Critchley wants to play his own way, but you also need to be adaptive as a manager. And if he's not going to be that, then quite frankly, he isn't the man for the job. If he's going to run out of ideas, but it's for me up front, that is the best point that someone can make. We're lost in the final third, and for me that needs to happen. Why don't we get the ball into the box? It relies on someone to dribble in and score, and it's not happening. So try something different, which we haven't done yet.
Interesting. Again, there's so many different ways we can probably play, but if a manager's got a philosophy and it being stubborn in a way that he's been brought up at Liverpool, I'm not going to argue that, but coming down to say, not going to say lower league football, because it's, League One football, I'll say that he's going to find it completely different to development football, where you can play nice football every game and and get the players to play well and win a few games, draw a few, lose a few. But when you're in League One and you're in the relegation zone after a handful of games, sometimes you've got to have a plan B. And do you think Critchley's got that plan B?
If he has, he needs to start doing it. For me, no, not at the moment. You can't play Liverpool-style football with the team we've got with 17 new signings. It's practically impossible. The skill that Liverpool have, clearly we are leagues apart, literally. But if he wants to play that way, fine. But when it's not working, that's when he needs to listen to his team or listen to his backroom staff and say, why don't we try something different, because this isn't working. So for me, he needs a plan B, and it's either Critchley needs to be someone's number two who's experienced, or he needs someone experienced next to him to say, why don't you try this or try that. But at the moment, I don't think he's got that. And I don't want him to call him insane, but if he keeps trying it, it's never going to work. So you resort to your plan B when you need it, yes, at the very last resort, but he hasn't tried it yet. So I'd like to see something different.
A very good comment here, actually, from Pete. He says, Liverpool way is for the wingers to cut in, but to give space for the fullbacks to overlap and cross from their wings. How many times do we see Trent Alexander-Arnold get an assist or Robertson get an assist? I completely agree. If you're going to play that certain way and your wingers are going to get inside the box to... One we said we've scored when we've had 3 or 4 bodies in the box, and if you get those wingers in whipping in balls, it causes confusion in the 18-yard box. And like I said, if we're going to play this style of play, we need Turton, Gabriel, Garbutt, Mitchell, whoever it is at left side or right side to cross the ball in and create chances, because the amount of goals Liverpool score for maybe crosses in the box, it gets deflected or it's not cleared right, and you've got 3 or 4 bodies in there. That's what we need to do, but we aren't seeing that, are we?
No, not at all. And again, the Swindon game comes to mind, not only because we won, but because Mitchell excited all the fans. Twitter was popping off every 3-4 minutes. Mitchell's on the ball here, Mitchell's on this, Mitchell's on that. And when you leave Mitchell just to be a defender, that's when we're going to be really frustrated as a team. So, incredible point and really well made. So, like you said, it may happen. It may just be one game where we do set off like some fireworks and we score a couple of early goals and we kick on from there. But until we see it, we don't know, do we? But it's a great point. Yeah, we do need Mitchell or Turton to bomb forward, but unfortunately he was extremely vulnerable at the back, so we haven't had the quality to defend like Van Dijk. So we've had poor defenders, but I'm pretty certain that having Ballard start tomorrow, which I bloody hope he does, that will give us a bit more freedom and reassurance to move forward. So that's my one really positive outlook on tomorrow. I think having a decent centre back. I don't think Marv did anything wrong on Tuesday. People may think differently in the group, but he didn't have too much to do, but he didn't do too much wrong. And his slide tackle led to their goal, but that wasn't his fault. It was defenders at the back post being out of position. So I think Ballard will help Marv's, shall I say, and maybe give them the freedom to go forward. I don't know.
We'll have to wait and see. But with the topic of Neil Critchley, we'll see if any comments come back in here. They're all having a chat along amongst themselves, it looks like, to be fair. But moving on to the pre-match press conference and what managers have been talking about this week. This is only part of Neil Critchley's press conference, but he says, I hope this is a period we look back on at the end of the season and think it was actually a good thing that we went through. It doesn't feel like that now, but it could be. It's up to us to change that mood and that winning feeling within the squad. It's a good test of character. Tom, your initial reaction to Neil Critchley's quotes there?
Some nice words, which is the opposite to how he's been after the match. I think I've said to you before, I think he's a reflector of a mood, and I think every time he's spoken to is very softly spoken and very, very articulate with what he wants to say. So that's exactly what you should say, but the results need to happen on the pitch. Like you said, it may be 1 or 2 games to go until we get that final win. I don't know, but it's the words you want to hear as a manager. Absolutely, I don't want him saying, we're going to try and get a win, blah blah blah. But it's a well put speech that he needs to implement on the team. and the team need to show him as well that they are ready for a fight and they are ready to win games.
Just a quick one on there. I was going to move on, but you brought up quite a good point there. How much of it, we talk about Neil Critchley not getting maybe kind of the best out of the players, and he's not getting or doing enough on the side, but how much is it down to the players to show that fight? There is, we talk about experience and stuff like that a lot of the time, but when you've got Medine, who's played a few games, Ballard, experience in terms of internationals, number limited he's played, but he's been there. How much is it for them now to go to the training ground each day, come to the ground on Saturday with the full of confidence to prove people wrong? Because we can all blame the manager at some time, but sometimes it's up to the players to go out there and put on a performance and prove fans like ourselves that they're not going to be at the bottom of the table this season. They're going to be up there towards the top half.
Yeah, you can't always blame the manager, and you're completely right. It's a great point. At the end of the day, Critchley didn't tell Mitchell to not go side on his man and bring him down. He didn't tell Marvs to boot the ball out just before Lincoln scored their winner, etc. So you can't blame Critchley for individual errors. You can maybe blame him for subs and implementing a game plan, but the players, at the end of the day, they can't have their heads down and not talk to each other like we were just asking of a captain on the pitch without being a captain. I think the only person I've really seen be that person is MJ. On Tuesday, he really showed he was ready for that fight and he was getting involved and he was putting the foot in. And when he went forward and broke the play up a little bit more, we did look a bit more hungry. So you have got to look at the players as well. You can't just say, oh, the manager's shit because we're losing games, but there's a combination of the two. He's wanting to implement some form of playing, but he's also not accounting for individual errors, is he? So, which the players have made. And is it our fault for signing those players, or is it the players' fault for making stupid mistakes? But we'll see. He's going to need a while, and I think our fans need to realise that it's going to need a while. But my point, I don't want to sound contradictory, my point is if we keep losing, he won't last a while. If we draw and win a couple, then maybe lose one or two, then win a couple, then he'll be fine. But if he continues to lose, he won't be for a long time. So
very contradicting of yourself there. No, I get what you mean in terms of, if the results aren't coming Blackpool's way, then unfortunately it's a results business and managers move on for that. But again, I think what the owner's done is invested a lot of money into the current squad. Did he buy too many players at once? Yeah, you can look at it that way as well. But again, what he's done, he's backed the team. You have to respect what Sadler's done in these tough times with a global pandemic. But at the end of the day, if he's investing in all these players, and whether it is Critchley's fault or the players are making individual errors on a Saturday or Tuesday night, they've got to be accounted for, and ultimately it is the manager that gets the sack. But from reading his comments there, it looks like the lads and all the team are around Critchley and everyone at Blackpool, because at the end of the day, we all want them to do well, especially after years and years away from the club. Just a final one on Neil Critchley there. Tom, most teams go through a dry spell or a period of not winning. Hopefully Blackpool have had theirs and can get a win, a result on Saturday. But like I said, do you think it's that moment that the team's still gelling and that once this dry spell goes, that we can really push on and have the season that most fans were expecting?
Yes and no. I think if he keeps continuing to make, and not that it's Critchley's fault because we haven't got a fit team, or fit, every single player is fit for his selection. So if we keep changing the team week in, week out, and there's no identity to the team, it's like a new Blackpool FC every week, isn't it? On the flip side, I think we need spirit, we need togetherness, and we need our team to sort of pull together and get that first win, or put a run of wins together. Do I see us going on a win streak? I'll see how tomorrow goes and see how different the team reacts to 5 or 6 games in. If the individual errors keep occurring, then I don't see us being consistent this season, and that's where I think one way or the other, whether it's Sadler or whether it's the fans, in some respects, will get what they want. I would like to see his start to finish end product with us making some really good progress. It's a tough one for me. I think if we start to have some consistency with his, I don't think he knows the first 11 that he wants to play. but I certainly think we're far from it at the moment with players playing out of position, and the shape being not always how I think Critchley wants it. So I think he's a perfectionist in some ways, but his thought process and his mentality needs to get into the team quickly. He's used to developing teams and progressing teams and working with them. That doesn't seem to be coming through at the moment. But like you said, we could win 3-0 tomorrow, and you know what Twitter's like. It will be a place to be in the evening, not a place to avoid. So let's see how tomorrow goes. The more I talk and the more I think about it, I'm more optimistic come tomorrow. But if we do play like we did previous matches and we don't make enough chances, then I don't know. It's going to be frustrating, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is. And you talked about their togetherness and spirit. And this, I'm not meaning to be controversial here, but how much of an impact do we as fans play in that role? Because you've shared tweets with me, and I'm thinking, what's going on there? I've got different views to what you've got, and vice versa. I know my dad will have different views to what I think. But how important is it that even if we can't go to the grounds, that we as fans show that togetherness like we've done in recent years? Because in some respects, we still do play a part, even though we're not inside the ground, don't we?
Immensely, yeah. Players are on Twitter, aren't they? Players are on Instagram, and I think that if we make a lot of noise about the manager, we make a lot of noise about. I mean, to be fair, there's not been a lot of noise about the players' performances, has there? I think some fans will say players are not good enough, etc. But there's not a lot of noise been made about it, and it's more to do with sort of Critchley, and now they don't want him because we're not winning games. So I think if we just have a bit of positive mental attitude on Twitter and maybe I don't know, tweet the players, tweet the club, and get some energy about it. It's like pre-season when we were signing players. It was a really fun place to be. So the more I go on Twitter after football matches, like Tuesday, I just didn't go on. It's tough. It's tough to read it in some points, and we've got to understand where we have come from. I think my overall thought process is how long in my head. Maybe it's just me processing it. Do we need to give Critchley before it's too late? First and foremost, because if he isn't a man for the job now, is he ever going to be? If that makes sense. And I think the answer to that maybe is in 5 or 6 more games. But the fans also need to understand that as well. We've just come from the worst years in our history to moaning every week about the football. So it's a kind of good place to be in some respects, but at the same time, maybe we should just change the way we're thinking a little bit, including myself.
And me as well. But Andy's brought a great comment up here. We did put it on the screen before, saying the club's not open. The whole team just go out on the piss with Jerry Yates. Call that team bonding. I'm sure he does. Looking at some of the comments here, they're talking about... Matthew said, hopefully we'll have 11 men on the pitch after 2 minutes and push on this time round, which is a great comment, to be fair. Gareth White said, we should aim for 9 from 9 as always, looking at the next 3 games. And Tim has his comment in, all winnable. MK, the proper Dons, AFC Wimbledon and Burton. I've got to agree, all very winnable games. We just got to go out there and perform. Moving on to our next topic of this podcast, we've met before. Both Blackpool and MK Dons are only at 9 times in league competitions. Everyone knows the reason why that number's quite low. But with the first meeting being back in December 2004, MK Dons won 3-1 on the night. As I said before, the quiz question for this evening, which is somewhat different. Who scored Blackpool's only goal in a 3-2 defeat away at MK Dons? Some people have already got the comments in. We'll leave it down for you to get them in, and we'll read the answer out before we move on to the next section. But obviously, last time the two sides met was in 2019. MK Dons won 3-0 on the Fylde Coast, with current manager Russell Martin bagging the first goal, and then goals from Jordan Houghton and David Kasumu sealing all 3 points. I don't know about you. Sorry, put you on a bit too. I don't know about you, Tom, but did you go to the game, or do you remember watching that encounter against MK Dons last season?
No, I was away. I listened to it though, much to my family's annoyance. But I listened to it. But it wasn't a spectacle, was it? It was one of those games where we just fell apart at home, wasn't it? So not much to say about the game. I think Russell Martin's a decent player, and I think he would maybe be a half decent manager, but similar to Critchley, really inexperienced, and see where it goes. But yeah, not much to talk about apart from we were really poor at home and we crumbled a bit, and we had a few like that last season, didn't we? So towards the end, so not much to say.
No, that's fine, to be fair. We've got not much to say. Lee BFC, just going through a few more comments. It's great that everyone's joining in with the chat and having their own chats on social media, whether you're listening on YouTube, Twitter, or Facebook. Lee says, truly hoping tomorrow is the turning point. Something needs to give. Cannot keep going this way. Gareth, another comment in saying, I'm still optimistic as a Blackpool fan. The transformation is amazing. Community club again, and very proud of the work they're all doing. If we can come on the pitch, unless he's meant to put something else there, but talking about the community side, Tom, briefly going off topic. I don't know if you've seen the news about the Blackpool FC hotel with the dinners. It's a great initiative, what Marcus Rashford has done. It's a shame the government aren't really backing it, which hopefully there'll be a U-turn on that. But it's great to see, as Gareth says there, that the community aspects of the club's coming back, because a few years back that probably wouldn't have happened. But now we're seeing a proper club again, and you've got to give credit to the hotel staff and the club itself for helping local children out with free meals, because in these tough times it's important that we'll come together.
Yeah, I think a few years ago it definitely wouldn't have happened. And everything off the pitch, I think we as fans are probably forgetting. Gareth's made another good point. I think, when on earth did Blackpool in the last 10 years have this much energy behind the club and facilities and hope? It's only the pitch, which is Gareth meant. If the work will come on the pitch, would be, well, it would just be amazing, wouldn't it? Nothing's perfect, of course, but we as fans, and I think because we're not there, we forget a lot easier. But credit to Sadler, Ben Mansford, and everybody else, and it's incredible. There's 15, 20 things I think the club have done since he took over, with sponsors and tech and, you know, facilities for the team, training ground, etc. All those things that we wanted to happen previously as a Premier League club were so far from happening. It's untrue, and in fact we went the other way, as we all know, and now we're in a position where we're only worried about what's going on the pitch. I think it sounds cynical, but it's a really good place to be, isn't it? And results can change quickly, but owners can't, as we found out. So I think cause for optimism more than negativity.
Definitely. I'm just reading through some of the other comments. Put it back on the screen again. Tim Fern says, if anyone wants to donate towards a local food bank, which the initiative, I believe, is through Blackpool Supporters Trust, do check that out on social media. I know I've shared it on my Facebook and Twitter, I believe. So go and check it out. It'll be something we post out after this show. So definitely get behind if we can. I know everyone's in difficult circumstances, but we can really back what the club and the supporter trust are doing. That will be fantastic. Lee says the free meals for the kids initiative is great. I just wish it wasn't under 10s at Blackpool, which again you can understand why, but it's still fantastic and would not have happened at all under the previous regime. And again, fair comment about the under 10s. I know it was in the terms and conditions, but overall, I think we've got to give a huge pat on the back to everyone involved in that initiative. What we're going to move on to now is actually the quiz question, wasn't it? Who scored Blackpool's only goal in the 3-1 defeat away at MK Dons? I don't know if you, Tom, know the answer to this one.
I do. Would you like me to say?
Go on then, and I'll try and find the comments. It gives me a little bit more time.
I think, without researching, I think it was a Tuesday night, and they were a relatively new club, weren't they? So I think it was late on in the game. Scott Taylor, I think it was. So that's my answer anyway.
I want to see. I want to leave you a little bit on the edge now to wake up. I can't find the comment, and someone's got it right, and I can't see it. I think it's this one. I think whether it was a penalty or not, I'll have to do some more research into that. But I know that Scott Taylor was the one who scored Blackpool's only goal in that game. So Tom, well done. Your Blackpool knowledge is nearly as good as mine. The last part for us, or two more parts, starting 11 for this weekend and score predictions. So again, we've seen so many people getting their starting 11 on the group chat. So if you've not done it already, do get it in. I'll read Gareth's first before we go into yours, Tom. He wants to see Maxwell, Mitchell, Ballard, Big Marv and Turton. In the back, CJ, Robson, Williams, Woodburn, Medine and Kai in the starting 11 for the game against MK Dons. We'll bring yours up very shortly, Tom, but if you want to just kind of talk through your thoughts behind why you chose this starting 11.
I'd probably, like I said to you in the group chat, happy to discuss with everybody why I chose what I did and what I would probably change. The reason I've gone with... Is that
mine?
That's yours. No? Okay.
No,
yeah,
that one's yours. That one's yours, yeah.
Yeah. I think initially I had Turton there, where Mitchell was, and the reason for that is the guy's not a left back. So I'd either play Mitchell where Kai is and have Turton, like I said, the Swiss Army knife for the defence. But if you're going to put Mitchell there and stick with him, then fair play. So if Kai's fully fit and is ready to start, then I'll start Kai there because I think he's strongest. But if Kai isn't fit, I'd see Kemp or Mitchell go where Kai is, and put Turton there because it's going to cost us at the back. I think more than we'd want to, basically. It depends what kind of game he has and what freedom he's got given, but that would probably, if I had to choose one now, that would probably be it if Kai was fit, absolutely.
Yates was obviously dropped on Tuesday. You put him back in your team for this weekend. Do you think a game out or being rested from the start will kind of bring a bit more energy and a bit more eagerness to go and prove the doubters wrong?
I think the reason I chose this one, I think Yates, if we change the shape slightly, and the reason I've gone with the 4-2-3-1 is Woodburn can pick up the pockets of space that Keshi was doing as well, but Robson and Williams sit back a lot more to reassure the defence, and we get the freedom up front. And if we get the ball into Yates and he can have the chance to score a lot more, then, or shoot, should I say, a lot more, with some flashes of that, like when he hit the post, etc., then I think he could get hat-trick, you never know. Do I think it's harsh on Medine? Probably. But if he's going to continue to play one up front, that's what I'd go for. I would like to see the wingers drop back a little bit and have two up front. And Medine and Yates would be a really good combination, in my opinion. But I don't think he's going to do that, and that's why I've gone for this.
Just to bring some more comments in, Sean said a 4-2-3-1 like yourself. Maxwell, Turton, Ekpiteta, Ballard, Mitchell, which bar Turton, I think it's probably got the same one. Needs must Mitchell, he says, at left back. MJ, Robson, the two holding players with CJ, Woodburn in the number 10 slot, Kai on the left, and Medine up top instead. Two changes from yours to say, but again, very similar formation. Wants Woodburn in that number 10 role because when he's got that freedom and a player that could really excite Blackpool fans despite watching it from the comfort of their own homes.
Yeah, for sure. It's very similar to mine, and as I've just stated, I think Medine doesn't really deserve to be dropped. I think the reason I've gone with Yates is he needs a goal, and I think if we are going to play Woodburn in the number 10 role and is going to make chances through the middle, then Yates in the longer term is going to be our choice. So that's why I've gone with him. It's harsh on Medine to some respects, but we'll see how we start. If it all goes Pete Tom and we do go with a similar team and Yates doesn't perform again, then he does deserve to be dropped, in my opinion. But we also do need to give him the chances to score and not just try and dribble it in from the left and him finding the scraps throughout the game. So, yeah.
Just coming on to this chat before, wrong comment, sorry, it's glitched up. This one, should I say, Gareth said, just to add, the members of AVFTT donated £85 towards the food bank and also sponsored 4 Blackpool players for various charities. We are very generous fans, as he said. So again, huge credit to those who have donated and sponsored players, because again, helps the charities as well as the club in many respects. Coming to my team before we look at score predictions, which is what fans love to know. I've already got a few comments in. This is the kind of the lineup I've gone for. Maxwell in goal. I know a lot of people were questioning should he be in goal after conceding a few goals, but I think he's the best what we've got so far. Gabriel at right back. I think he's just someone to a bit more attacking, and as someone alluded to before, if you're going to play that Liverpool style of play, him and Mitchell in the full back positions are the ones to go forward. I'm gutted I haven't got the magic pen they do on Monday Night Football. That'd be ideal, wouldn't it? Move him up here and shadow this and there. Ballard, I've gone for him as captain for me. Again, maybe not a lot of experience, but seems to be able to lead the players around him and really galvanise the side. Ekpiteta next to him on the left centre-back. I went for 3 midfield, but it didn't look right. So Williams and Robson in there with Anderson. For me, he's been playing a little bit too deep in the Blackpool teams or games that I've seen him in, and it's just maybe that a little bit of licence to go forward. Woodburn and Hamilton, again, you can have so much more license for freedom with those three, which would be fantastic to have, and Yates up top. I do think we've got the creativity, as I've said on numerous occasions this evening throughout the start of the league campaign. Just like I said, I hope just one game, and I do believe it's soon, that we'll go out there and really give someone a battering. But again, you look at our two sides, we're not too dissimilar or far away, are we, from each other? And as fans, I think they'll probably go for something similar, if not maybe, like you said, 2 up front or maybe 5 at the back to give the fullbacks more licence.
Yeah, like I said, I really like both of our choices. I think Woodburn in for Kaikai and yours, and I really like Keshi. I think he's shown what we're missing in midfield, and obviously he's been out for a couple of games, but you hit the nail on the head. If he's given the freedom to go forward, we're scoring goals. What he needs to do is shoot a lot more. I think there's probably been 4 times since I've watched this season where he's had the opportunity to pull the trigger, and Plymouth was definitely one of those where when he passed the ball, I think it was to CJ, he had the chance to just unleash a shot on the edge of the box, and he played a cute pass to Hamilton, and he missed the chance from about 4 or 5 yards out. But if he's given the freedom to do what he wants in the middle role, feed the ball in or shoot a lot more, with the 2 giving him protection behind, we will score goals. So, and that's why I'm optimistic about the whole situation. So having those 4 up front and having Kaikai off the bench and Kemp off the bench, it is really exciting, and Medine or Yates off the bench. We have got the quality there. I think you're spot on. He needs the freedom to do what he wants up front and score goals. Hopefully 4 or 5.
Fingers crossed, to be fair. I've had a comment and they keep flickering up, to be fair. Phil Hornby's got one in. He says, I worry Neil Critchley isn't as hungry for success as he should be. He's been told that if things don't work out, he'll always be welcome back at Liverpool. Is that something you maybe agree? Obviously, a good track record of bringing players through, but I do think he's got that hunger in himself, but he seems that very quiet manager, very, I say, reserved in that respect. But he's not going to be like your Evos or Wellens or other managers like that to really get animated, is he? And again, as we've maybe seen in the past with Ollie being the character he is, not every manager is the same. And if Critchley gets the results, obviously he's not got them so far, but goes and gets the results, you can't judge the book by cover of being a quiet manager, can you?
No. I think it's a loaded question to some respects. I think if he is the sort of person to think, okay, I'm going back to Liverpool in 6 months, I think we've recruited extremely, extremely wrong. No doubt in my mind he might be welcome back at Liverpool, but if he's the sort of man to want that, then he's certainly the man we need at the helm. And I'm not gonna do him dirty like that. I think Critchley does want to win. I think he's just not the character that we want to see. And I said to you at Plymouth, and I've said after Swindon, etc., he is reserved and he doesn't shout. And I think it's up to the players to show us as fans what he wants from us. Again, if it continues and he has his lacklustre post-match analysis and he doesn't show much fight, then I'll make my own judgments then. But I don't think he doesn't want to win, and I don't think he's just waiting to go back to Liverpool. I know he's not maybe alluding to it that bluntly, but for me, it's not about that. No.
Interesting. Going through the final topic before we close this evening, I'm definitely trying to get it under 1 hour 10. Keep making it crawl back the minutes as we try and do. Score predictions. Many fans have got them in already, which is great to see. Mick, you've gone for a 2-0 win. Obviously, we need 11 men on the pitch. Wait, sorry. About that, we need 11 on the pitch at 0-0. Gareth has said 3-0 to the mighty Woodburn, Medine and CJ. Tim, he says 2-0 defeat. hope he's wrong. He's always like that, to be fair. But Tom, I'll come to you after that negative from Tim. Your score predictions and for the game against MK Dons?
Just go back very quickly to what Tim said. He was right at Ipswich as well. He said we're going to get battered, and he's right. And I think it really will depend if the game's going to turn out like Ipswich, if we start well. And for me, if we go 1-0 up, we'll win comfortably. So I'm going to say 3-0. And I'll go with, if Woodburn starts, Woodburn first goal scorer and Yates to open his account finally. And we'll go 2-0 up. Maybe concede one and then get the third. But I'm hoping it's comfortable.
I'm hoping it's comfortable as well. We'll come to mine very shortly. Phil Hornby says 2-0 to MK Dons. A mixture, really. I thought fans might be a little bit more optimistic. Going through Leib FC, going for a 1-1 draw with not much creativity. I think we'll cancel each other out tomorrow. That Tom got going back a little bit from this point by Lee. We looked at that passing map, very similar. Both sides not really getting the ball in the box to create those chances. Could it be a 1-1, or it could even be a 0-0 game with each other, like you said, cancelling each other out?
Yeah, like I said, they've got the experience at the back to deal with us if we don't want to go forward, and that's when we will lose or we will draw, because teams will just enjoy that, because we have got a goal to concede in us. Whether Ballard has a fantastic 85 minutes, there will be a chance for the opposition to score. So it's really up to us to determine how the result of tomorrow's match, as obvious as that sounds. If we attack them early doors and we continue to press, I'm going to say we will win. If we don't, then we're probably going to lose, because we're just inexperienced at dealing with experienced players and sides. So an early goal for a 3-1 win, but if it's 0-0 at half time, I don't see anything but a loss, unfortunately.
Is this a big 6-pointer in terms of where the teams are? And I know it's early on the season, but a win for either of the two sides, Blackpool and MK Dons, can really change momentum in their season, can't it? And for our sakes, I hope it's us that we can go on 1, put on performance, and 3, get a result, the win, whether it's by playing pretty football or even and grinding out. But is it a 6-pointer tomorrow?
Yeah, absolutely. No doubt in my mind about it, to be honest with you. And like fans have said, if you look at the next 3 games, tomorrow, in some ways, we have to win, because I think we will kick on. And just imagine in a perfect world, we go on to win the next 3 matches, and suddenly we're 10th, and we're starting to look at a run together to get a settled side again, and lose the next 2. And that's where I said I don't think time is going to be Critchley's friend, regardless of how long he's been given or not. But for everybody's sake, and as Blackpool fans, we only want success, right? So let's fingers crossed we get a win tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm going for before we read some other fans' comments out there, score predictions, I'm going for a 3-1 win. That might surprise a few people. Woodburn, I think, obviously, get on the score sheet close on Tuesday night against Charlton. Hopefully he can bag one and get his season underway. Same with Yates, and I think Hamilton will get the third, or those 3 will be on the score sheet. I'm not sure when they'll get the goals, but I think those 3 will be the ones for us. Reading through some more comments, Matthew Smith says a 0-0 snooze fest. Easily could be. We just spoke about it there, to be fair. It could be. Gary Ford says a 4-0 game to change the season. That's the spirit, Gary. That's what we want to see. David Jackson, he reckons a 1-1 draw. John Scott, he says 2-1 with Yates and Woodburn on the score sheet. And Andy Throwfall says 0-0. Why did I finish on a 0-0? It could have been a loss, to be fair. Could have been a bit more negative. And a comment from Gareth there. Great show, guys. Always appreciated. And again, as you always say every week, it's down to you guys. If you weren't watching the show, bringing in your comments or giving us feedback, we won't be here on a Friday night to give you an insight into our thoughts, opposition's thoughts ahead of the game at the weekend. We are going to finish it there because I'm edging close to that 1 minute 15, and I'm determined, as I said before, to bring it a lot earlier. But again, it's been great to have you on. This is your hat-trick appearance now, is it? Or
Yeah, third appearance. Hopefully, be a bit more consistent from now on, provided my mic doesn't play up.
Yeah, we'll apologise for the mic. We thought it was all connected, so I've muted Tom when I've been speaking. But it's been, again, great to have on. Shame we need like a little, Soccer M used to have a little match ball when they came on for the hat-trick appearance. We need something like that, but I'll have to send it in the post as we can't present it to you with all this COVID stuff going on. Gary Ford says, up the pool. We'll finish off with an up the pool shout as well this evening, as John and the boys do on a regular occasion. Ray Gregson says, cheers, guys. I can't speak now. This is why we need to do it under an hour. But as I said before, it's been great to have everyone on. Mick, huge thank you for your comment. Best entertainment for a Friday night. That's a huge compliment, to be fair. I'll take that. But again, like I said, it's all down to you guys and what we're doing. As I said, Tom, huge to have us on. The Seasiders podcast will be live again tomorrow from 5:30 to review the game against MK Dons. If you want to join us live and have your say on the game, hopefully after 3 points for the Seasiders, you can join in. So stay tuned to social media so you can find out how to get involved and have your say as Phil Ricky's come on the show. And it's been an absolute joy to hear from. So again, have your say and be the next Phil Ricky. So if you haven't already subscribed to the Seaside Podcast YouTube channel, make sure you do that and so you don't miss any of the action. Also, don't forget to give a like or a follow on Twitter and Facebook for more content. And if you haven't signed up to the Patreon, there is a link on the Seaside Podcast channel to join that. I think it's the price of a pint, so make sure you do that. But from myself and Tom, that's it for another week. We'll see you next Friday for another Friday night preview show. But up the pool, let's hope we can get 3 points. See you next week.
Ollie's already changed the world. A small town from the north of England with a great tradition. Change the world.